Commissioners, it would be a sad day in Newton County if we had to close our public library because the heating and cooling system was allowed to ruin all the books. I know we don't have a lot of money. We're not facing any windfalls coming to us anytime soon, but we've got to find a way to make this work, and I hope you'll join me in finding out or voting for helping them with their replacement. Would anybody like to make any comments at this point, ask any questions of staff that are here or from Dr. Wiley? Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Watley gave a great, very thorough rundown of this item when we were having our budget hearings. I guess it was the last, what do you see, at the last budget meetings that we had. Clearly, you know, this item has been put off. How long has this been put off, Steve?
We've been working on this most recently for the last 2 years. And we've been spending have spent $33,000. This is 2012, just on the repair.
Mr. Chairman, can he come up just for a minute?
Yes, absolutely.
Steve, when you get up here, can you tell us what exactly the HVAC system, HVAC system is doing over there that shows it needs replacing?
The system that was put in originally was a gas-fired boiler with 2 Yosaki air supply units, a boiler, chiller, a piping system. The system by another engineer's comments was obsolete when it was put in.
Is this the original system with the building?
Yes. The building is now 17 years old. Last year we replaced the roof with state funds, $100,000, and local match from our reserves. We did that to protect the holdings and help improve air quality in the facility. What we are looking at now is a entirely new system because we can't get parts anymore for several of the units. The air handlers are very much corroded, and we have talked to 3 different groups of engineers. You have received this information, and we feel like that it's better to have a planned downing than an emergency. We realize it's costly. We realize also that we have the state MMR funds of $100,000 that expired June 30th of this year that came from bond money that must be spent by June 30th of 2015.
So do we need to put money in before June 30th, or if we put this in the budget for next year, will that work?
It can be in the 16 budget, and we can match from our limited reserves.
And how much do we need to put in next year's budget to cover it, to do what needs to be done?
The estimated cost is $160,000 per year for 5 years.
So we don't have to pay it all up front?
Correct.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
The Bank of North Georgia has offered to finance this through our lease program. We bank with them. 2.75% interest rate. Anyone else, commissioners? Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Watley, for coming before us. The last time we spoke to you at the admin building during the work session, there was a conversation or maybe some hope that the city of Covington would come to the table. Is there any updates on?
The information that we received through our director from the city manager is that at this time they will not be able to contribute. Pardon me?
They have chosen not to.
They will not be participating at this time.
Could you describe to me, I've heard this same question several times, and you and I had that discussion earlier, but so I'm not catching you off guard. Would you describe to us your reserve situation and what's required by your board's policy?
The board policy is that we have a 6-month reserve. That reserve is projected for next year if the revenue comes in as we anticipate as $822,000. The 6-month operating expenses would be somewhere around 725 to 750. So based on the revenue projected for 16, there could be limited reserve monies from the ending fund balance that we could put into it. There will be closing costs. There is management of the work to be done.
I think we said the approximate closing cost was around 14. I'm looking for it now.
14 to 15,000.
Would y'all be willing?
If I remember correctly, it's somewhere around 15.5.
Any further comments from the commissioners? Commissioner.
And this is actually for the board, not for you, Dr. Watley, but thank you for being here tonight. My question
Does that mean I may leave?
you can leave.
Unless there's others, you may leave the podium. We appreciate you being with us. We reserve the right to call you back.
And I think Michelle's probably already left. So my question is, where's the money coming from? I mean, that's the question at the end of the day. You know, as we go through trying to save every penny in this upcoming budget, trying to give employee raises, dealing with our own fund balance that is very depleted. So that's my question to the board. Where are we getting the extra $160K a year?
Commissioners? Anything further? Well, commissioners, that's right. I think the sheriff would frown upon that. Well, commissioners, let's put it to a vote one way or the other. Anybody like to make a motion on item number 11 concerning the library HVAC? Absolutely.
And I know they're up against a deadline with their matching funds. When is that deadline that they have to have?
June 30th?
So I know they have to use it by June 30th. I don't know if their application time period, you got to get it in 2 weeks before. I guess what my thing is to the board is, you know, do we have time to, you know, crunch our numbers in our budget before we commit tonight?
Mr. Chairman.
Well, if I may respond, please. When we started these discussions in early 2014 and mentioned that we would be applying for MMR funds from the state, we did not think it was fair to come to the Board of Commissioners as you were doing your budgeting for FY15. And so we tried to do this so that it was split across fiscal years. We can do the state's money and our money, but we don't want to do either of those if there's not some commitment for the balance of it over the 5-year period. And it goes to the question you're asking, where will the 160 come in the 16 budget? All I can tell you is what we have done in order to best use state funds and local funds and have a planned replacement. We can lose the $100,000 from the state.
Now, I guess my question is, if in 2 weeks, if we come back and, Michelle's worked on the budget along with staff and we find where we have that, is that 2 weeks from now, is that going to jeopardize anything? You say you have to June 30th?
That will, 2 weeks' time will give us, let's see, today is the 19th. 2 weeks' time, 14 days, that's 33, so we're into June. That will give us less than 28 days to expend the funds, and they have to be expended or we lose them.
I understand. You have to have them to spend them.
Yeah.
Commissioner.
I hear where but we've been working on this for some time.
I definitely understand, Dr. Watley. I just want to make sure we have the money before we commit to 5 years.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Commissioner Douglas.
Dr. Wiley, but a couple of questions. First of all, on spending the money, don't you think on June 2nd, you've still got 28 days? You put out a contract to spend $100,000. Don't you think some HVAC company's going to come running pretty quick?
First of all, this is under the state contract, and if we can work with the state vendors to meet auditors and the state requirement, we would do everything we could to expend it.
The second, thank you, Dr. Watt. The second question, Mr. Chairman, I have for you is, if this item is going to be in the budget, why are we pulling it out and voting on it tonight?
They need the affirmation that they're going to be able to do that. Can I go back on some numbers real quick? You told us that your reserve was 822. That's what it is approximately, and that 725 is your cutoff.
725 to 750, somewhere around there.
So you have 100 basically there in reserves that you could potentially, trying to help out here just a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm not a bargainer. What if you would commit from your reserves $100,000 for this year, us pay the closing cost and the $60,887? That would be our first year, so we'd have a commitment somewhere in the range of 74 commissioners. I'm not sure. Does that have any possibilities?
I'm trying to run. I'm a visual person,
You need
and I have to
There you go.
run $100,000s of dollars through my mind very quickly.
I got some paper and pencil.
Would you repeat that, please?
Well, I was just trying to find some way that we can. I mean, obviously the budget's not looking. We would hope that our digest would have increased more than it appears it's going to, and you're looking at $160,887 per year for Newton County to fund, basically, because you don't have a revenue stream really. So I'm trying to get us off to the right. I'm trying to get us to the point where we can at least go ahead and do these corrective measures and save these books. And if you're at 822, that's what your policy says. You actually have about 100,000 more than what your policy requires. And I was just asking you to commit that 100,000 if the board would consider the 60,887 plus whatever the closing costs, approximately 15,000.
Well, we would do everything we could to take it down. We have and assist with the project because we don't want to lose the 100,000 either. Chances are later, if we don't do something, we lose the 100,000. The air conditioning costs are going to go up in the future. We don't get the money from the state, so we'll probably be paying more, and the interest rates will be higher. So, you know, I don't have, but I would think that, let me say one thing about the reserve. The reserve is the way we have funded our capital improvements. And if we don't have that, when we lost staff because of cuts, then part of that staffing money also went to pay capital needs. So we're in the same predicament that you're in, except we have only the county, the city, which makes a small contribution, and the Board of Education as our revenue. I would think we could go 75 out of it.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, thank you, Dr. Watley. My family uses the Covington branch quite often, and I know you guys do a wonderful job in providing this service. I think I've read about this issue for, 5, 6, 7 years. It seems like it's been going on forever. And, you know, I do have a hard time understanding why the county would pay $750,000, and then the BOE, I think they pay $2,000 annually. At least this is what I'm told. And I was told from the City of Covington councilman that they're going to contribute $15,000. We got $25 million in the bank. That's what the paper said, right? We all believe what's in the paper, right? So,
if I may comment on that, that's our operational budget. And my experience based on serving on the board of trustees is that it has been viewed by the other funding agencies as a county responsibility. And the Board of Education is giving that as a contribution to the holdings, books, materials.
yes, sir.
It cannot contribute to capital outlay.
Maybe that's a legal question, sir.
Steve, I don't know if you remember or not, but at least when the library was in its original location, it was, as I recall, 100% funded by the city of Covington. The county stepped into the breach at some point, probably when there was a SPLOST referendum and built the new library. And the city kind of...
I don't know about that. I don't have that history. I have been told that it, and I don't know this for a fact, that it had to do when the Recreation Commission and the library were thought of as being funded by the county. I don't know that for a fact. I have not seen that in writing.
Yeah, I think what happened was Mayor Ramsey asked the county commissioners to take over recreation and the library over time. And in exchange for getting SPLOST passed. It must have been 95 or something like that.
It would have been the original.
Right, the original SPLOST. But I mean, the county has had financial responsibility since that point in time. It doesn't prohibit contributions from other governments to assist the county maintain the library.
And those funds have been used for operation, and as you reviewed in our budget presentation to you, you saw the revenue that was requested for 16 to come from each of the agencies.
Commissioner Schultz had her hand up first, and then Commissioner Douglas.
It seems to me that all of us have concerns about the fact that the city of Covington is not participating in this. And it seems to me that we all know what kind of situation we're facing with our budget. We know what kind of situation you're facing with your budget. I just wonder if what we need to do is have this recommendation on the June 2nd board meeting after we have some time to go back to the city of Covington and see what kind of participation that they are willing to give us.
We'll work any way we can to keep the air on.
Let me thank you, Steve, Dr. Watley, for coming in the hot box tonight. Let me echo what Commissioner Maddox and Commissioner Schultz have also said. Here we have a library that's located in the city that's used, I don't know what the percentages are, probably 45, 50, 55% city residents use that library. And yet the city, as I understand you saying, is not going to help us at all right now with the HVAC. Is that correct?
That's the information I was given.
So they want the county to carry the full burden of the repairs. I think I'm going to, did you make a motion?
Well, I would like to make that motion that we have this on the agenda on the June 2nd.
Commissioner Maddox, please.
Thank you. I think I understand everybody's concerns, but Dr. Watley and the team come before us 3 weeks ago. We've had time to talk to the city. They are not going to contribute more. And I understand Commissioner Sims' comments on where the money's coming from. I don't know that. I admit that, but I do believe we need to save the library and protect it. 2 more weeks is not going to, it's just kicking the can down the road. And I think Mr. Watley is at the end of the road. He needs help now.
So in the interim, could we direct Michelle to look for, I'm just trying to figure out the motion here. Could we direct Michelle to look for the money that if you're willing to participate on, you said 75,000, and we would participate at 90,000, I guess is what we're looking
25
at.
plus 60 plus 14.
And also in that interim, I still believe we need to go back to the city. There needs to be a participation from it. We are all in this together. We are a community. The city residents use that library, and we talk about collaboration. Jerry Roseberry came to us tonight and talked about collaboration. This is a collaborative potential. This is an effort that needs to be collaborative. So I think we need to take the opportunity to go back to them.
Schultz. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
Please go ahead.
No, ma'am. So the motion you're about to suggest is to approve as is with the additional funding from the library board, and also have the chairman or other to negotiate with the city? Is that?
I would suggest that would the motion be that we direct Michelle to look for how we can contribute in conjunction with the city $90,000.
So, Mr. Chairman. Gotta get a clarification.
I guess my only question is, the package then is relying on the city's decision in that case. So I think we've got to put something in place. I mean, obviously, I'll do all I can. We'll plead and beg the mayor as well as the city council. But, I don't want us to put us in a situation where we back June 2nd, we're staring down a long barrel. Commissioner,
So let me clarify this.
I'm not sure what it is. I'll have to write it down and look at it.
We're not going to you're not making a motion to table this. You're making a motion that Michelle go, or somebody go back to the city and see if we can get,
Well, I don't think Michelle.
No, no.
not Michelle, but somebody.
We
Who?
will direct the chairman to work with Michelle to go to find the money in conjunction with the city. Now, that may be the city contributes $5,000, they may contribute $40,000, but I would direct the chairman to do that.
Do we have any, I don't know that you keep these statistics, but any kind of a way of knowing what percentage of city residents use the library versus what percentage of county residents?
No, not at this time.
Go ahead. I'm trying to do some mathematics. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't need everybody from the library to call and beat me up tomorrow. I've always been a big supporter of the library. I'm just looking at dollars and cents, and that's it. So if I hear this board correctly, we're going to make a motion to approve funds we don't know we have and not wait 2 weeks to see if we have the funds, right?
It would be built into the budget if it's approved.
I think we have to find the money somehow. It's a county building.
I understand, but it seems like you would find the money first, then approve. That's just my thoughts.
Mr. Chairman.
Somebody's going to have to check my math, but as best I can tell, we would, if they committed 75, we would be committing, without the city's help, 100,387. Does that sound anywhere close to what you got? Well, it's 161, but you got them. I subtracted off the 75, and then you got a closing cost of 14.5. Commissioner, go ahead, please.
I just can't help but think of the irony here that 2 weeks is going to make a change on a cell tower, but 2 weeks is not going to make a change on the library. So, we put off the cell tower for 2 weeks, but we don't want to put this off for 2 weeks to make sure that we can get some support from the city. And we may not be able to get any support from the city. They certainly haven't offered it up to this point, but at least give us a little bit of a breathing room here to see what we can see that the chairman and the mayor can get together and work something out.
So I would just direct you to
Okay.
come back to us in 2 weeks after you have had the opportunity to work with the city to see what kind of contribution they can make.
I'll do that. And I want to make sure I'm clear on one of the things. Did I hear you say that one of the concerns is they thought they couldn't contribute to the capital investment? Is that what it was?
Mr. Maddox was referring to the board, and I was saying that the Board of Education.
Okay. Board of Education, that's there just the 2,000. Okay.
Why is the school board prohibited from making that contribution?
I would have to ask the school board attorney. and I'm not, I must say that I don't I represent the Board of Education on that board.
Right.
I cannot speak for the Board of Education.
Can you check with them on the reason for that before you come back in 2 weeks?
That, I know, I will check on it, but
I'd just like to know why it is they can't do that.
when Ms. Bullard was there, or she's there to June 30th, it was that the state money and the local money had to be spent on the students' total operation. Now, when you, if I may use a personal example, when you were on the Board of Education, when we would go through budget meetings, remember the book, there was $2,500 that was given each year for the collections for use. It was my understanding at that time that none could be spent on buildings or operation, electricity, things like that.
I'm gonna throw out one more thing. It's not gonna affect your motion. We have Oxford College students that undoubtedly use that facility. I suspect. I know they've got their own library. We have Troy University here that has adult students. We've got Piedmont College, the technical school, Piedmont Tech, and potentially a 4-year institution in Georgia State coming here. And I'd drive if you'll go with me, and let's see if we can petition some of those entities to help us out a little bit too on our public library. Commissioner.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion. I move to direct the chairman to work with the City of Covington and the Library Board to bring this board a proposal at the June 2nd board meeting for the funding of the HVAC at the library.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Who made that second? Okay. All right. Would that get you where you need to be? Is that a?
I'm 2 weeks closer to it than I was.
Then I'm gonna call for the question. Commissioners, if you're in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. And opposed? Passes 3-2. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.